is News 3.
Probably looking at another foot of water. So, if it's close to your door, you need to be making plans now to be getting out.
Flooding forces more people out of their homes, and more communities are being cut off by the high waters. Good evening. Several school closings again because of flooding. We'll be showing those at the bottom of your screen. We start tonight in Gallatin County, which has now issued mandatory evacuations for 2 communities. Most of Junction and Old Shawneetown are under feet of water. Conservation officers are going door to door to help people evacuate and check on those who are staying behind. News 3's Andy Waterman went along today, and he's in the newsroom with the story now. Andy?
Well, Eden, most people evacuated those towns yesterday, but some chose to stay. Several of those who did stay do not have floodwater in their homes, but they have no way in or out because of the high water around them. It's a sobering sight when your hometown is covered with water, with only one way in.
Both the only way we've got. Everything's shut off.
Because the water is so deep in Junction, many residents have had no other choice but to leave.
Yep.
Conservation Police Officer Doug Husner helped boat people out of town on Monday.
We evacuated as many people as would leave yesterday after the mandatory evacuation order. We still had some refuse to leave.
The mission for Conservation Police over the next couple of days is to go door to door to the people who stayed.
So we're out checking on them, make sure that they're still all right, and also doing security patrols to try to prevent any kind of looting or anything like that.
Lois Rogers has lived south of Junction for nearly 60 years and decided to stay put with her husband. She says as long as the water isn't surrounding their home, she'll stand her ground.
They just almost insisted we leave, and I said, oh, we just can't. We just can't. Different situations. I just couldn't.
Rogers' neighbor Robin Stacy is also still at home because she didn't want to evacuate her animals and leave her house open for possible looters.
I'm okay right now. I mean, as long as they don't get in my house, I'm good. Because a lot of other people are a lot worse off.
Stacy and Rogers say if the water rises much higher, they will change their minds and leave. But for now, they'll just hope for clear skies and try to keep entertained as they stay on their own little islands.
People, you can get used to anything but hanging. And if you hang long enough, you can get used to that.
Gallatin County officials say a shelter has been opened for evacuees at the First Baptist Church in Shawneetown.
Thank you, Andy. And also in Gallatin County, as we mentioned, most of Old Shawneetown has been evacuated and power has been shut off to most of that town as well. County spokesman Tracy Felty says a mandatory evacuation order was issued for the community yesterday. They expect that floodwaters from the Ohio River will fall rather slowly, meaning some people may not be able to return to their homes for a couple of weeks in Old Shawneetown. U.S. Senator Mark Kirk toured parts of the flood zone today, and we flew along.
So this is all supposed to be dry land right here.
Senator Kirk took to the air in a helicopter to get a better look at the situation. This was the scene over Metropolis. In the foreground, the courthouse and Superman Square with the flooded Ohio River behind. Here's a closer look at the water surrounding Harrah's Casino on the Metropolis riverfront. The casino remains closed.
They got a lot of flooding here.
Yeah, they do.
And the view a little bit farther down the river at Joppa. You'll notice despite the flooding, river traffic is still moving up and down the Ohio. Senator Kirk also flew over Cairo to get a glimpse of that city facing record flood levels. And he landed in Cairo for a tour on the ground, including those giant sinkholes in the industrial district and the river water gushing up through sand boils. Just down the Mississippi from Cairo, here are aerial pictures of the Birds Point floodway in southeast Missouri today. As you can see, floodwaters from the Mississippi are now flowing into 130,000 acres of Missouri farmland. That's after the Army Corps of Engineers blew up the levee at the top of the floodway last night. Now 25 farmers are suing the federal government for that levee breach. Their lawsuit claims the government violated their landowner rights by taking their property without adequate compensation. Work near Birds Point continued today. It will take 3 explosions to open the entire floodway. Weather forced the Army Corps to delay the second and third blasts. Around noon today, the Corps made the first opening at the south end of the spillway near New Madrid. The third explosion is still to come. Now the people who live and work in the floodway are trying to figure out what's next. News 3's Emily Finnegan continues our coverage.
The sun rose Tuesday on a dramatically different landscape in eastern Mississippi County. Water as far as the eye can see. The Birds Point levee breach means that farmers like Pete Story can't get in their fields.
It's just like someone took a member of your family away.
He and the other farmers who work that land can only sit back and wait.
I'm just wondering what's underneath the water, what has been scoured, what has been ruined, how the land's going to be.
No one knows that. That's only God knows that one.
Breaching the levee put a third of Mississippi County underwater. And now that it's done, the people who live and work here in the spillway are left with a lot of questions.
We're not getting a lot of answers. The recovery plan, we haven't heard anything about a recovery plan.
Mississippi County Presiding Commissioner Carlin Bennett explains the floodwaters destroyed important infrastructure in the spillway and took away the livelihood of about 30% of the county's tax base.
When you combine declining tax revenues with increasing demand for services, I don't have to tell you, what happens at that point.
Many are concerned the breach isn't doing what it was intended to. The spillway wasn't full Tuesday morning, as some officials had anticipated, and river gauges showed only a slight drop.
This might be all wasted effort. I mean, absolutely for nothing. And what will they have gained?
We've sacrificed part of the farmland, part of our income, our livelihood, and I just hope it helps somebody.
In Mississippi County, Missouri, Emily Finnegan, News 3.
Many farmers told us they are just hoping for the best, and some still hope to plant this season. If they cannot, they plan to spend the time getting ready for next year. For a closer look at how the levee breach is impacting river levels, we turn to Jim for Weather First Now. Jim.
We'll take a brief time and run down the numbers coming to us from the National Weather Service, the USGS, and the Corps. There have been some significant changes in most of the forecasts along the Ohio. We'll leave it up to you as to whether or not they're better or worse. The current stage in Shawneetown, 55.6, flood stage 33. The crest now at 56, the forecast. And that's for Wednesday evening. Will still be the second highest crest on record. The biggest change there in Shawneetown was just the date. The current stage in Golconda, 56.2, flood stage there 40 feet. The crest 57.2 coming Wednesday is still the second highest crest on record, 1937 being the highest. But this is a 1 foot drop in the crest forecast from what we showed you yesterday. Yesterday, they were talking about a little more than 58 feet. So it appears not as bad, and maybe because of the operation of the levee there. Current stage in Paducah, 54.6. Flood stage is 39. The crest forecast now 55.5. Thursday morning, still the second highest crest on record, but that is a 3 foot drop in the crest forecast. Yesterday, the forecast was for 58.5, and today it's 55.5. And in Cairo, some of the biggest changes coming here. The current stage, 60.2. The river is already falling. Flood stage, of course, 40 feet. The forecast is for the slow fall to continue. They don't expect the river to go up anymore. It did crest at 61.7 just before they had the explosions last night on the levee. From the numbers I looked at today, again coming from the National Weather Service, the USGS, and the Corps, it looks like it dropped about a half a foot in the first hour after the explosion, and by this afternoon had already dropped 1.5 feet. So certainly some improvement showing up there. So whether it's for one reason or another, not for me to say, but the numbers coming in certainly showing that things have improved in Cairo, and really for most of our stilling wells coming in on the Ohio during the day. There are a couple of chances of rain coming up. I don't think they're going to add to the flooding problems. Both rainfall totals in the forecast coming in less than an inch, and they are a little bit spread out. We'll talk more about that and the chance for frost tonight. All of that in the forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Jim. Well, the city of Metropolis is now under a voluntary evacuation. Water has reached the center part of the city. In spots, cars are underwater, and some homes are being evacuated by boat. The community has been working together filling sandbags for days now. Some say it's the only reason their home has a chance to survive the flood.
90% of the people that came and set sandbags around these two houses, we didn't even know. I'm just thankful that I got a chance maybe to save my house. And there's a lot of people that don't have that.
It's wonderful to have them. So I was very worried because I thought that this house was going to go underwater, but look at this.
Maintaining the sewage system in the metropolis is also a problem right now. Leaders are asking people to conserve water to limit the strain on that system. Also in Massac County, Brookport is dealing with a scary situation. The Army Corps of Engineers says part of the town's levee is weak and they fear it may give way. News 3's Kristen Craig has that story.
Behind me is the earthen part of the levee officials are worried will give way. While we want to emphasize there is not a breach yet, officials say it's likely.
We're advised to get the people to evacuate.
Mayor Judy Askew says as of 11 Tuesday morning, an evacuation was ordered, but she says she won't force people to leave.
In the state of Illinois, you cannot have a mandatory evacuation. Even if your house is on fire, we have to say, hey, your house is on fire, we think you should get out.
In fact, she's not leaving either.
I really feel like, as they said, a captain going down with a ship. Well, I don't intend to go down with a ship, but I do intend to stay here as long as possible.
But leaving is becoming more difficult. Monday night, the bridge that connects Brookport to Paducah was closed. Water got so high it topped the Paducah side of the bridge.
For a long time.
Future levee breach or not, property owner Ricky Nance says all is lost for him.
Everything will have to be tore out from the floor up. Redone.
9 inches of water fill this home.
It's hard. It's you gotta go right back and find a place to live and start living all over again.
The mayor says she's anxious for residents to find a safe place. She's also asking they provide their contact information so they can be notified when it's safe to return home. Reporting in Brookport, Kristen Craig, News 3.
Floodwaters are leading to more problems on the roads. These pictures are from Gallatin and Saline counties. Here you're looking at Route 142 driving through Equality. You can see the water building up and spilling over the roadway. And this is the scene along Route 13 east of Harrisburg. Now notice the floodwater very high on both sides of that roadway. In White County, floodwaters are moving over several roads as well. Here you can see water from the Wabash River nearly to the top of the road signs. County leaders have issued a disaster declaration in White County, and we have a list of road closures across the region online at WSILTV.com. Coming up, we go back to Jim for the forecast and any more chances for rain in the next few days. First, our flooding coverage continues. Another look at last night's explosion to blow the Birds Point levee, and a first-hand account from Dana J., who was there as it happened. You're watching News 3.
You're watching News 3 in HD. Your Southern Illinois news leader with Eden Schultz, meteorologist Jim Razor, and Darren Kennard.
We look and listen in one more time on last night's action in Mississippi County, Missouri, as crews blasted that levee and started flooding the Birds Point spillway. That demolition late yesterday seems to be easing the flood threat in nearby river towns. News 3's Dana J. was there for the much anticipated explosion. We heard your reaction live on the phone last night at 10 o'clock. What was it like to be there in person?
Well, I don't know if you could tell, but it was kind of scary. The general kept saying it's going to be very anticlimactic, and I definitely wouldn't say that. There were a series of maybe 8 or 10 fireballs, and of course the sounds of the explosion. The ground rumbled a little bit, and as I said, the colonel said, oh, well, you may hear a flash and feel a thump, but that definitely wasn't the way I experienced it. After everything settled down, I think the most impressive thing to me was, even though it was dark, you could tell that part of the levee was gone because you could make out the outline of trees in the night sky. And after the explosion, in one section of the levee, those trees were gone.
And the timing kept changing all evening long, but it seemed to come a little bit later than we'd expected, right?
Yeah, it did. They were telling us about this time yesterday that the first blast would be between 9 and midnight, but probably a little bit closer to midnight. Well, while we were getting, a sandwich around 7 o'clock, we got the call that the blast could be about 30 minutes away. Of course, it didn't end up coming until about 10 o'clock. One of the things that the Corps was waiting for was the barge that had carried the explosives. It needed to move away from the levee before that blast actually happened for obvious reasons.
And what did the colonel have to say after that first blast about how things were going so far?
Well, he called it a success, the first phase of the operation. Of course, we're now watching the river gauges to see if that is in fact the case. By midnight last night, the Corps was reporting that the water had dropped several inches in Cairo, and now we're seeing levels down almost 2 feet in Cairo. In Paducah, however, the river levee stays about the same, as I think you have heard from Jim, but the National Weather Service is now predicting it to crest about 3 feet below they were predicting a couple days ago. So it seems like progress there based on the numbers.
And we'll keep our eyes on it. Okay, thank you so much, Dana.
You bet.
Now, it was sunny today, but how long will the dry weather last in terms of impacting river levels? Jim's forecast is coming up next.
Putting accuracy first, this is News 3 Weather.
The weather has quieted down enough that we don't have to start talking about how much it rained today, where rain is. There are a couple of sprinkles showing up on local radar right now, but that's about it. We saw a lot of sun today. That was the biggest surprise. I thought we might see a break in the clouds. Certainly didn't think we'd see completely clear skies. I'm not going to complain about it a whole lot, though. Very cool air has moved into the region, and it's somewhat drier. Now, we do have a lot of leftover humidity. The water standing on the ground is going to be lifted up anytime the sun comes out, of course, but temperatures much cooler than normal. Mount Vernon already down to 59, 63 in Marion and Paducah, 67 degrees in Poplar Bluff. Once the sun goes down, temperatures start to drop. It looks like, because dew points are running in the mid-30s, we could see some temperatures into the upper 30s, maybe even some mid-30s in our northeasternmost counties. And that, combined with all the leftover water, will likely lead to some surface frost. Not a killing frost, but surface frost on the leaves and that sort of thing. So if you've got tender plants and you can protect them tonight, good night to do that. Temperatures off to the north. Chicago is only 42 degrees, and the cool air pushing all the way to the south. Tupelo at 61. Normal temperature for those folks this time of year, this time of day, it would be well into the 70s. The big rainmaker is moving away. The little rainmaker we talked about yesterday is showing up over in southwest Missouri, moving into northwest Arkansas, but moving around us, sort of away from us, and that's good news. The little clearing stripe moved through. The clouds developed in this afternoon when the sun really started to heat the ground up a little bit, and now with the sun going down, those clouds will disappear quite quickly. The north flow will stay with us tonight until high pressure moves away from us. We'll stay under that north flow. On the other side, southerly winds pushing warmer temperatures all the way into the northern plains. So we know eventually we will warm back up, but let's keep in mind things are moving rather slowly. That's one reason we saw rain after rain after rain. The stationary boundary over us, things are moving rather slowly right now. So changes in the weather are going to be more gradual than what we're used to. 46 to 62, our run today, cooler than normal all day long. We did put another 12 100s in the books today. That all coming after midnight. Monthly total 4.18. Annual total now 3105, more than 15 inches wetter than normal for the year. 62 degrees currently in Carbondale, dew point 35. Winds have gone calm, 12 100s in that rain gauge as well. Skycast just showing a few clouds close to us, but they're really pulling away. Mostly clear tonight. Quite a bit of sun coming up tomorrow, but clouds increasing in the afternoon a little bit. Overall, a pretty nice day. And the next chance for rain is going to be a band of showers with maybe a couple of embedded thunderstorms expected to move through Thursday evening. Temperatures tomorrow much cooler than normal once again in the afternoon, but then as we cycle through the rest of the week into the weekend, it is a warming trend all the way from here to Saturday. The warmer weather will bring a chance for thunderstorms during the weekend. Tonight, though, clearing skies and cold temperatures, low around 39. High tomorrow 63 with mostly sunny skies. A few clouds around in the afternoon. Thursday evening, a chance for showers, maybe a passing thunderstorm. Friday, partly cloudy 72. Saturday, clouds increasing throughout the day, and by Saturday night and Sunday for Mother's Day, a chance for showers and thunderstorms.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Well, we're all focused on flooding now, but it's important to still be ready for severe storms. We're holding another weather radio programming day tomorrow. This time at the Heron Kroger, you'll be able to buy Midland weather radios and have them programmed to alert you for your community. That's tomorrow at the Heron Kroger from 10 until 2. Sports is next.
This is News 3 Sports in HD.
The baseball Salukis will take on Illinois this evening at Rent One Park in the 4th annual Interstate Classic. This will be the 3rd meeting between the schools this season, with each winning on the road. First pitch is just about 8 minutes away. We'll have highlights for you coming up tonight on News 3 at 10. The Chicago Cubs dropped their series opener last night in Los Angeles 5-2. Jerry Sands' 2-run double scored Clayton Kershaw and Logan product Jamie Carroll, and that highlighted a 3-run 5th for L.A. Andre Ethier followed with an infield hit to score Sands, extending his hitting streak to 28 games. Alfonso Soriano swatted his Major League leading 11th homer in the 7th, but it wasn't enough to rally the Cubs, who fell to 12-16 on the season. Same two teams go at it tonight in L.A. Ryan Dempster and Chad Billingsley will be your starters. The Cards will try to avoid a 3rd straight loss tonight at home against the Marlins. The Fish won last night 6-5. Kyle McClellan's going for 5-0. For the Redbirds. And over in the AL, the White Sox continue their homestand with a brief 2-game series with the Twins. The two teams expected to contend for the AL Central title are a combined 17 games below 500. When the Chicago Bulls played Atlanta late in the regular season, the Bulls led by as many as 47 in the 4th quarter before winning 114-89. Well, Game 1 of the Bulls-Hawks best-of-7 second-round playoff series was a much different story last night. Chicago had no answer for the duo of Joe Johnson and Jamal Crawford. They combined to score 56, helping lead the Hawks to a 103-95 win at the United Center. Atlanta led by 1 heading to the 4th and immediately pushed that lead to double figures before finishing with the 8-point win. To make matters worse for the Bulls, All-Star guard Derrick Rose tweaked his left ankle in the final seconds of the game. It's the same ankle he sprained in the Indiana series.
I'm fine. Just an ankle sprain. It's nothing too major. Should be ready to play in the next couple of days. If anything, try to get a win next time.
X-rays were negative on Rose's ankle, and he practiced fully today. And today, as expected, Rose was named league MVP at 22. He becomes the youngest to win the NBA's top honor, taking over the record from Wes Unseld, who won it when he was 23. Rose averaged 25 points, nearly 8 assists, and 4 rebounds a game. He joins Michael Jordan as the only other Bulls player to win league MVP honors.
Impressive. Thank you, Darren. We'll be right back. A chilly night ahead, Jim.
Yeah, flooding continues to be a very big problem. A small issue coming up this evening as we take a look at the forecast for tonight. By 3 o'clock, 41 degrees. We could see some 30s for lows tonight. Light frost is possible if you can protect some tender plants. Be time to do it.
Good advice. Thank you, Jim, and thank you for joining us. We'll see you again at 10. Piles of debris like this, a common sight across southern Illinois today. Work begins to clean up damage and restore power after severe storms. Good evening. For many people, it felt like the May 8th storm all over again. Powerful winds took a toll in many southern Illinois communities last night. This scene in Carterville is repeated across the region. Trees and limbs snapped off, some falling onto homes and other buildings. Other trees came down across highways, disrupting travel. Here, crews were cleaning up a tree that fell across a road in El Dorado. And in White County, another all too familiar scene. The winds picked up grain bins, leaving them smashed and scattered across the countryside just as farmers are getting ready for spring planting. We have team coverage of the damage and cleanup tonight, including in Saline, Williamson, Jackson, Franklin, Jefferson, and White counties. But we begin in Perry County. News 3's Dana J is live in DuQuoin. And Dana, people seem to be taking things in stride.
Yeah, I would say so. And Eden, I'm here at the home of the Van Zants, and there has been a steady stream of gawkers driving by all day. If you take a look at the house, you can understand why. The Van Zants, though, are taking it in stride. They even joked that maybe they'd charge $1 or so for tours. But the thing is here in DuQuoin that this house really could have been either much worse or you know, a much better also. But if you take a look, listen to what what Jason Van Zandt had to say.
It's went into both of our bedrooms in the front of the house. This is actually, the room we're standing in here is my son's room. And you can see that is the actual branch from the tree. And it's carried on over onto the other side of the house.
Not quite as bad elsewhere, but lots of busy people today in DuQuoin. On East Main, just off of downtown, people up and down the street were piling debris on the curbs. Many didn't know how bad the damage was until this morning.
Naturally, everything happens at dark and you don't think your damage is too bad. And then when I got out today and looked at the front part of my roof, I'm like, yeah.
Power crews and tree trimmers hard at work too. Of course, power can't go back on until branches have been cleared from power lines. And I spoke with Perry County EMA today. They said they really don't feel comfortable giving any kind of timeline in terms of when people here in DuQuoin and Perry County, in fact, will start to have electricity again. We're reporting live tonight in DuQuoin. Dana J, News 3.
Thank you, Dana. Well, how strong were the wind gusts as the storms moved through? Jim's here with a closer look in First Weather tonight. Jim.
In general numbers, I think we're talking 60 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts in southern Illinois. But when we compare to May 8, which is being done over and over and over again, we did see some wind gusts coming in the same strengths as what we saw May 8th. Just in a more rural area, so we don't see the debris piled up, but it was just as strong. We'll sort out some of the numbers, and really I think in southern Illinois we're watching two cells that move through. The first one is the cell I think that spawned the tornado reports in Bollinger County. That one moved off through Jackson County, the damage we've seen in Heron, and eventually on to Wayne County, gusts there in Sisney about 64 miles per hour. So even once it got away from where it started, still doing 64 and some reports of 70. The second wave is what started in Stoddard County, moved through Alexander County, checking there 96 miles per hour. So there's that 95 to 100 mile an hour wind. And we even saw one of those reports coming in from Johnson County, Buncombe. You can see a 96 mile an hour report, and then that wave continued on into southern Indiana. More strong winds showed up across western Kentucky later in the evening. But when we talk about southern Illinois, we saw the same strength winds, just in a completely different spot. And these are not the only chances for big winds that we're concerned with. Looking ahead, there are more chances for big thunderstorms and strong winds in the forecast, and we'll talk all about that coming up in just a few minutes.
A closer look at some of the damage in Carterville now. Along Division Street, siding was torn off of Caldwell Banker, and signs at several businesses were damaged. There was also minor damage at Mimo's Restaurant, at the Dairy Queen, and at the Verizon Wireless store. The winds ripped up part of the awning at the Motomart gas station in Carterville as well, and toppled the giant sunflower on display along Route 13 in Craneville. In Marion, the roof of Heartland Hospital is damaged. Caps surrounding the edge of the roof were bent and twisted last night. Those caps hold stones that keep the roof's tarp in place, and that tarp prevents rain from leaking into the building. Heartland officials estimate nearly $30,000 worth of damage. They expect repairs to be made in the next couple of weeks. In Saline County, power lines still lay across Park Street in Harrisburg after tree limbs knocked them down. Limbs also broke off part of this chimney. Meanwhile, a shed filled with bags of cans was blown away, but the bags of cans meant for recycling are still there. And south of El Dorado, farm equipment worth hundreds of thousands of dollars is strewn across a farm. The storms caused extensive damage in White County as well. Norris City, Omaha, Enfield High School saw some of the worst. Winds ripped the roof off the gymnasium just months after the school had put in a brand new gym floor. News 3's Emily Finnegan continues our coverage.
NCOE Principal Matt Volman wasn't expecting a call from the mayor last night. And it wasn't good news on the other end of the line.
Sick. I thought maybe the cell phone was cutting out. I wasn't understanding him correctly, but unfortunately it was accurate.
School officials say the storm peeled back the gym roof like a tin can, starting in the southwest corner and dropping the debris here in this parking lot.
The whole roof's got to be replaced, and we're looking at temporary fixes for now to hopefully preserve the interior of the gym.
That's critical because the school just installed a $150,000 gym floor 7 months ago. paid for almost entirely by community donations.
Something the community's been really proud of, we've been proud of here at the school, and so we're doing everything possible to keep the floor preserved right now.
Residents once again came to the rescue. Nearly 50 volunteers came to the gym Tuesday night to clean up, buy flashlight, and help spread tarps over the new floor.
It's truly a blessing to be a part of a community like this.
The gym holds special significance for the students at NCOE. Seniors like Tiffany Anderson would be the first to graduate on the new floor.
We were really excited about it because, I mean, everybody was hoping to take apart the floor and fix it and everything, and it was a work of love.
Anderson is worried.
Why our gym? Why? I don't know. Like the rest of the school, why'd it have to be the floor we just got? I don't know.
For now, all students and staff can do is hope for the best.
We're doing everything within our means, and we're limited by time and weather right now.
Crews are hurrying to find a temporary fix for the roof, with more storms expected later this week. In Norris City, Emily Finnegan, News 3.
The owner of one Jefferson County farm surveyed his damage today. The storm destroyed this shed where Kevin Kowalski was storing equipment, and powerful winds sent grain bins flying across his property. One ended up by his pond, another in a tree. Kowalski says he's never seen anything like it.
I shut the TV off and then it got dead calm. My 2 cats run in the basement, so I thought I better go with them.
Kowalski's insurance adjuster will come inspect his damage tomorrow. Insurance companies are sending extra workers to Southern Illinois right now to help process storm claims. In Franklin County, serious property damage from Ewing to Thompsonville. While there's a lot to clean up, folks are not losing their sense of humor. Here's News 3's Kristen Craig.
Drive through rural Franklin County and there's no telling what you'll come across. 7-year-old Matthew Chaplin of Thompsonville sums it up.
There was a thunderstorm and that a lot of weird things happened, like a carport getting blown into a tree.
Property owner John Isaacs lost both carports. One wound up on top of his truck and the other a little higher up. He jokes about starting a drive-in theater.
I told everybody to come by and took pictures of it today that we had free parking and the movie wouldn't start until dusk.
Across town, the fire department was almost knocked out of service after winds bent the metal doors, trapping the fire engines.
There was so much wind coming at it, it pushed it off back about 3 foot. So we had to end up cutting it and taking it down so we could get the truck out last night.
In Logan, what once was a barn is now scattered across Kelly Hasty's yard.
And we started hearing things bang and clack, and it lasted not even quite 10 minutes. And once that was over, we came up and this was all the damage.
Metal is wrapped around everything.
Everybody that drives by stops and takes pictures.
Kelly jokes about asking spectators for help.
We were kind of hoping that everybody that stopped to take a picture could maybe take a piece of metal with them or a couple pieces of wood, just because there's so much damage. I don't know how we're going to get it all cleaned up.
The good news is no injuries have been reported.
This is all just stuff. It can be replaced, you know. We were very lucky.
And no nightmares either.
I wasn't scared one little bit.
In Franklin County, Kristen Craig, News 3.
Repair work's already underway in Carbondale. Crews are patching up this apartment complex roof that was torn apart by high winds, and lots of repairs are needed at and around the new police station. The storm tore off more than a quarter of the building's roof, and there's water damage inside. The new $7 million complex just opened to the public this week. Roof pieces rained down on the neighborhood, damaging homes and crushing a car. Utility crews are working as fast as they can, but there are still thousands without power this evening. Here's a look at the latest numbers. Ameren reports about 14,000 outages in our region right now. Egyptian Electric 1,700. Southeastern Illinois Electric Co-op is working to restore power to 1,900 customers as of last report. And Tri-C has about 1,100 customers without power. Police say a dispute between 2 men led to a deadly shooting in Carbondale. Good evening. That shooting happened early this morning on the north side of Carbondale. 1 man is dead, another behind bars charged with murder. News 3's Stephanie Tierpax live in the newsroom with the latest. Stephanie.
Eden, when Carbondale police responded to the 400 block of North Brush Street, it was for a call of shots fired. At the scene, they found a man who had been shot. He was taken to Memorial Hospital in Carbondale, where he was pronounced dead. The victim has been identified as 20-year-old Deonta R. Spencer of Carbondale, and the man now behind bars accused of shooting him is 18-year-old Matthew J. Jones. During their investigation, police identified the suspect, and Jones was arrested a short time later. He has been charged with 3 counts of murder, and his bail has been set at $1 million. As of right now, the incident is being called a personal dispute, so we don't know what was going on between Spencer and Jones, but they were at least acquainted with each other. Live in the newsroom, Stephanie Tierpak, News 3.
This is a day that we need to come together and let everybody know that we do love him, that we do care for him.
Family and friends of a man gunned down in Carbondale gather to say goodbye. Good evening. Deonta Spencer was shot early yesterday morning on Carbondale's north side. Tonight, the street where he was killed was turned into a memorial by those who loved him. News 3's Stephanie Tierpak is here now with the story. Stephanie.
Eden 18-year-old Matthew Jones was arrested yesterday and is accused of killing Spencer over a dispute between the two men. Losing Spencer has hit the family hard, but tonight they met on a street in Carbondale to remember just how much they love him.
For the remembering of that nephew, God, that we love so much dearly, Lord.
As the sun set on a neighborhood on the north side of Carbondale, family of Deonta Spencer filled the street with a light of their own.
This is a place that he was at, so we want to remember him and that love that we have for him.
Aunt Carrie Lee Berry was praying for the best after she got the call that Spencer had been shot. Knowing that he's gone has been hard for the family to handle.
It's a sad day that someone would just take a person's life like that.
But with candles, prayers, and song,
So I say my prayers every night.
A vigil held near the crime scene Thursday evening was one way the family members could help each other through one of their toughest days. Carbondale police say Deonta Spencer was shot and killed just before 2 a.m. on North Brush Street. The 20-year-old had just started college, hoping to turn his life around.
He was always talkative, outgoing, happy.
Spencer leaves behind 3 kids, a daughter in Arkansas, and 2 young boys with girlfriend Tiffany Moore.
It's hard for me to go on, and his kids got to grow up without him.
And while those closest to Spencer feel a world of hurt, some family members, like Aunt Barry, are hoping for peace and a change of heart for the man accused of killing her nephew.
And I'm just praying to God that it don't happen again in Carbondale or any other state, that it never happen like this again.
Matthew Jones has been charged with 3 counts of murder in connection with Spencer's death. He was booked into the Jackson County Jail on a $1 million bond.
Still a lot of questions about how the Carbondale police chief's gun became involved in a deadly shooting last week. The weapon, Chief Jody O'Gwynn's personal handgun, was used to shoot and kill a man on Carbondale's north side. The chief had reported it missing back in June, but not right away. News 3's Fana Haile Selassie is here now with the story.
Well, now, Eden, not only was the missing gun report delayed, it was also filed under an animal complaint, making the file much harder to find. Now, to be clear, this was not Chief Jody O'Gunn's service weapon. It was his own personal handgun. Either way, it's still not clear exactly how it wound up in the wrong hands.
It was a weapon like this one, a Colt Mustang 38, that killed 20-year-old Deonta Spencer last week in Carbondale. Now police officials say it's the same weapon that was stolen from Police Chief Jody O'Gwynn more than 3 months ago. But while investigating the theft, we've gotten conflicting reports as to how and when the handgun was stolen. In a phone conversation a couple weeks after the gun was taken, Chief O'Gwynn told us he was with family at Giant City Park when he noticed his gun was missing from his vehicle. He said he was not sure if he locked the car, but would have likely locked it. But in a statement O'Gwynn released Friday, he says, "I am devastated and deeply saddened that this gun, which was secured within my personal vehicle, was stolen and subsequently may have been used to take the life of another." In the incident report on the stolen gun obtained by the Southern Illinoisan, O'Gwynn says he left his weapon in his vehicle June 11th and 12th while it was parked at his home. Now, he claimed to have driven around the city as well, but did not notice the gun was missing until the 13th. Nothing was filed with the police department until a week later on the 20th. O'Gwynn says in the report he thought a family member may have taken the gun, but he could not find the weapon in his home. A different story than we were originally told.
Now, we tried to reach Chief O'Gwin and his secretary all day today, but could not get a response. Carbondale's city manager, who declined to go on camera, says this whole incident should never have happened. There's already a closed-door session called for tomorrow night's city council meeting. One council member says it's more than likely going to discuss this missing weapons issue.
This Carbondale man is now behind bars on weapons charges, and the arrest may be connected to the police chief's stolen gun. Good evening. 19-year-old Julius Causey was taken into custody last Thursday, a day after the killing of Deontay Spencer. It's believed Spencer was shot using a handgun stolen from the Carbondale police chief months earlier, and the investigation into the whole thing may have led to Causey. News 3's Fana Haile-Selassie is in the newsroom tonight with details. Fana.
Well, first of all, Eden, police arrested 18-year-old Matthew Jones for the actual shooting of Spencer, but it was only one day after that. Police say they took in Causey, who lives at the scene of the shooting. He's charged with having the same type of gun used in the shooting, a Colt .380 semi-automatic. And as a convicted felon, it's a weapon he should have never had.
It was here, 420 North Brush Street, that 20-year-old Deontay Spencer was gunned down. Carbondale police say 18-year-old Matthew Jones was behind the gun. A weapon officials say may have been Police Chief Jody O'Gwin's personal handgun, stolen in June. It was also here, one day after the shooting, that police arrested 19-year-old Julius Causey for having the exact same type of weapon, a Colt .380 semi-automatic. But no city or county official will go on record to say if Causey's arrest is related to the shooting case.
Do you know if this case has any relation to any other cases?
It probably does.
Digging into Causey's criminal history, one might wonder how he was even out on the streets, since he was convicted of robbery in February and sentenced to 6 years in prison.
I didn't make the decision. One of my assistants did, so.
Turns out Causey pleaded guilty to the crime and made a deal to shorten his sentence to 5 months by going through a program called Impact Incarceration.
Impact Incarceration in Illinois is boot camp. It's offered to essentially first-time offenders who are of a youthful age, and at the time he was 18.
Causey was released July 13th, late enough to rule him out as the one who stole Chief O'Gwin's gun in June, but not long enough to keep him out of trouble.
Julius Causey will appear in court for his next hearing October 6th. Carbondale police are still investigating who stole Chief O'Gwin's handgun. We know officers are checking surveillance tapes in all of the locations O'Gwin visited during the time the weapon may have been stolen.
I have requested Sheriff Robert Burns and the Jackson County Sheriff's Office to take over the investigation of the theft.
The Carbondale Police Department is off the case of the chief's stolen handgun as a new department takes over. Good evening. During a morning news conference, the Carbondale City Manager and the Jackson County State's Attorney announced the County Sheriff's Department will take over the investigation of the police chief's missing weapon. It's believed to be the same gun that was used in the shooting death of Deontay Spencer last week. News 3's Fana Haile-Selassie was at the meeting this morning, and this is the first time the city manager has spoken out on this case.
Yeah, that's right, Mark. And even then, he would only read a brief statement and not answer any questions, which were questions like why the investigation into the chief's gun initially lasted only 1 day and then reactivated nearly 90 days later. Now, a whole new law enforcement office will take the case.
Almost 1 week after evidence linking the Carbondale shooting with the city police chief's missing gun, the man in charge of handling media questions stepped in front of the camera.
I will not be taking questions other than the official statement. Mr. Websick may choose to do so.
And limited his comments. But Jackson County State's Attorney Mike Websick did confirm that the Colt .380 semi-automatic used in the shooting does lead back to Julius Causey, who is now behind bars, a confirmation that took a week to release.
Despite the good faith efforts of its officers to perform this theft investigation, questions regarding the theft and the handling of its investigation have continued to arise.
But it's not just media outlets asking questions and waiting for answers. After Thursday morning's news conference, Carbondale City Councilwoman Jane Adams called for an internal investigation into the police department's handling of the chief's missing gun, citing the recent media attention to delays in reporting, errors in filing a police report, and allegations of lack of transparency. So now the city is removing itself from the missing gun case, and the Jackson County Sheriff's Office will take over.
We agreed that the community and the department would be best served by requesting an outside agency to assume responsibility for the investigation of the theft of Chief O'Gwen's handgun.
Illinois State Police officials tell us they were prepared to assist in the investigation, but Websick stressed he would prefer to work with an office in which he has an already established relationship.
Unfortunately, there is no independent police agency. I mean, we all work with each other in some way or another. I mean, I suppose we could bring in the Gorham police chief and have him investigate this, but he's a department of one. So, as I said, I have worked with Sheriff Burns, and I trust his integrity without question.
So what does this mean for the actual shooting investigation, that shooting that took place last week? Any impact on that?
Yeah, well, the Carbondale Police Department will still be responsible for investigating that case. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office will mainly look into who stole Chief O'Gwen's gun.
Obviously, some changes need to be done as far as procedures. Obviously, I think we had some human error.
Another Carbondale leader speaks out on the police chief's stolen gun that wound up being used in a deadly shooting. Good evening. Carbondale's mayor is sharing his thoughts on the events following the murder of Deontay Spencer. Matthew Jones is charged with shooting and killing Spencer on September 14th. On the 16th, Carbondale investigators said they believe the murder weapon was the police chief's stolen handgun. And yesterday, the Jackson County Sheriff took over the investigation into that stolen gun. News 3's Stephanie Tierpak's in the newsroom with today's developments. Stephanie.
Eden Mayor Joel Fritzler says he first learned of the connection between the Spencer murder case and Chief O'Gwen's stolen gun last week. It was the same time that information was released to the public. Fritzler believes the chief followed procedure, but the mayor admits the city needs to change the way information is handled.
We do have complete faith in the chief, and we're not asking for his resignation or anything.
For Mayor Joel Fritzler, it was disappointing to learn the connection between Carbondale Police Chief Jody O'Gwen's stolen Colt 380 semi-automatic and the shooting death of Deontay Spencer, the same time that information was released to the public.
I mean, would it have solved anything, or would it have the situation changed? Probably not, but at least it would have been nice to get some earlier notice what was going on.
Fritzler believes Chief O'Gwen followed procedure after the weapon was stolen in June.
I mean, he wasn't quite sure if it was missing or not, but once he determined that it was, that's when he filed the report and notified the city manager.
And with experience in a university research office, the mayor chalks up the misfiling of the police report as an animal control matter to a mistake.
Clerical errors where things were getting filed. I mean, it was still on the same, report number.
The mayor is satisfied with the decision for an independent investigation by the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. But in future cases, Fritzler would like to see better communication from the city manager's office to the city council.
We really do need to be informed about issues like this.
Carbondale is currently searching for a new city manager, with Alan Gill set to retire in December. Fritzler says the city is looking for someone with past experience overseeing a police department. He added that with the recent events, communication to the city council will be a key interview question.
The type of person just was a family man. He just kind of changed his life around.
The man accused of the shooting death of Deontay Spencer is headed for trial. Good evening. 18-year-old Matthew Jones faced a Jackson County judge this morning to determine if there was enough probable cause for a jury trial. Jones is charged with 3 counts of murder for the shooting of 20-year-old Deontay Spencer in Carbondale 2 weeks ago. Today, we're learning a little more about what happened on September 14th. News 3's Fana Haile Selassie joins me now with the latest. Fana.
Well, Mark, right away you could tell law enforcement officials were very cautious about this hearing today. In a last-minute decision, they decided to hold Matthew Jones's preliminary hearing within the Jackson County Jail building instead of the courthouse. They cited concerns about Jones's safety, but after the hearing, a confrontation nearly erupted while emotions were running high.
He ran up on me and shot me in the back.
There were a lot of unanswered questions as people filed out of the Jackson County Jail.
he shot him for no reason.
Many of them came from the family of the deceased Deontay Spencer.
Everything is a lie. He's sitting there in court smiling. Why would you smile about my nephew that never had any problems with you at all? Never.
Inside the courtroom, Judge Charles Grace listened to testimony of probable cause from the morning of September 14th, the day Spencer was shot, and 18-year-old Matthew Jones was arrested as the possible shooter.
Deontay was just standing outside on brush. Yes, they did have a little gathering, but he never approached him. He approached Deontay, and Deontay threw up his arm like, what's going on?
In court, testimony claimed Jones and Spencer had a confrontation. Jones claimed Spencer has shot at him before, and during the confrontation, Jones says Spencer's body language told him he was going to try to shoot him again. According to court testimony, alleged shooter Matthew Jones says he thought Deontay Spencer was reaching for a gun when he reached behind his back. Instead, he threw out a punch so hard that when he missed Jones, he spun around. That's when Jones shot Spencer in the back.
That's all we have left of him.
Police say Spencer did not have a gun.
We think he should be in there the rest of his life, never walk out of prison.
In Murfreesboro, Fawn Highlands. Testimony also claims 2 witnesses can identify Jones as the shooter. Now, he will appear back in court for a pretrial December 6th. His jury trial is scheduled for January 3rd.
And Fauna, was there any testimony today concerning the police chief's missing gun that was used in the shooting?
Well, the public defender did try to bring up the gun issue a few times, but was told her line of questioning was not acceptable as part of this preliminary hearing.
Empty shelves at local food pantries mean empty plates for needy families in our area. You can help by donating to the WSIL Summer Food Drive from July 1st through July 31st. Place your non-perishable food items in our big black collection bin at one of the grocery stores listed on the screen. With your help, we can fill up the shelves and make a difference in our communities.
This Friday marks the kickoff of the WSIL Summer Food Drive. You'll soon find donation bins in grocery stores around the region. Those at local pantries say the need continues to grow, especially during the summer months.
You can see our cupboard is, our little cupboard is a little bare. We could sure use some help.
Here at the Marion Ministerial Alliance Food Pantry, Executive Director J.R. Russell says the need for donations has increased 20% over the last 3 years.
Well, we see more and more what we would consider middle to low middle income families.
Russell says people are always willing to donate around Thanksgiving and Christmas, but they often forget about the summer months.
In the summertime, generally speaking, folks are focused on whether it be vacations, Little League baseball, just taking care of their children during the summer and all those additional activities. And the focus gets lost a little bit, that our demand still and our need still increases and continues during the summertime months.
Johnston City's food pantry at First United Methodist Church is also seeing more bare shelves as more people suffer due to the down economy.
So it's kind of a catch-22. More people need food, less people have food.
That's why News 3 is asking for your participation in our summer food drive. Just a few donated items can help food pantries meet the growing need.
The important thing is to participate. And if you can participate with a small bag of groceries, if you can participate with a truckload of groceries, it all goes to help solve our problem.
The food drive is set to start this Friday. Look for the WSIL donation bins in all Southern Illinois Kroger stores and other select grocery stores in the region. We do have a full list of locations on our website, WSILTV.com.
Local food pantries are asking for your help to stock their shelves. The Metropolis Food Pantry is one of many across Southern Illinois benefiting from the WSIL Summer Food Drive. The pantry's seen an increase in clients recently and had 25 people come in for food just this morning. Volunteers say they have enough supplies to feed everyone right now, but their shelves are emptying quickly.
The price of groceries and everything's going up, and a lot of our clientele live on a fixed income, and they just need help meeting their food budget each month.
Our summer food drive runs until the end of this month. To donate, drop your food in the big black bins with our Channel 3 logo set up at grocery stores across the region. To find a list of locations, go to WSILTV.com.
The WSIL Summer Food Drive is drawing to a close. Just two days left to donate non-perishable food items at your local grocery store. Look for the large TV3 drop bins like these. The food will help fill the shelves of local pantries. We're also collecting food at the Southern Illinois Miners game Sunday. Fans who bring the donations to the ballpark get $2 off their ticket price. Season ticket holders are also encouraged to drop off items. For more on the food drive, go to our website, WSILTV.com.
Never underestimate the power of a good neighbor. In January, we met with Cecilia Meyer. The Marion woman survived a brush with death thanks to quick-thinking family and friends. When she collapsed in the kitchen, family members called neighbor Gail Jeter and his son Kyle.
The very first thing that I noticed about her was that her tongue had already kind of turned bluish and was sticking out, and so I knew that she wasn't breathing.
They performed CPR, and it made all the difference.
The EMT had said that the CPR saved her life.
In February, West Frankfort dispatcher Kathy Minton told us her story of an opportunity to save an infant.
The call came in, and the lady was frantic.
Hillary Sievers says her baby Ava wasn't breathing. Kathy guided Hillary through the Heimlich maneuver, then CPR. It was during our interview that Kathy got a surprise visit from Hillary and the tiny life she helped save.
I'm glad that she got to see what she helped us do. She saved this little baby.
There have been plenty of times when I've heard people's last breath on the phone, but to hear that first breath made all the difference in the world.
A month later, tragedy struck in Hearst. Rick Cooper saw his neighbor's trailer go up in flames. Ronnie Bowden had fallen asleep inside.
I started hollering and we had to get out, that his house was on fire.
Grabbed me by the arm and I was going to try to put out the fire.
And I'm like, no, you got to get out of here now. So I grabbed him and pulled him out.
Ronnie says he'll always consider his neighbor Rick his lifesaver. In April, a Blairsville woman fell asleep in her car just feet away from her burning trailer. Paper carriers Earl and Pamela Freund were going through town on their 3 a.m. route.
And I saw smoke billow out, and that's when right away I knew something was wrong, and I hurried up and dialed 911.
Fire officials say without that call, the blaze would have likely spread to neighboring homes. In July, intense heat was the enemy for 88-year-old Dean Campbell. After mowing the lawn, passersby Amber Zoller and Diana Skidmore found him unresponsive on the front porch. EMTs say Dean was found in the nick of time.
Obviously, they were concerned, but we all get concerned about things, but are we willing to stop our car and get out and go just say hi and check on someone? And I don't think we do that near enough anymore.
The willingness to lend a hand is a quality that represents all of our 2011 unsung heroes. With this year in review, Emily Eddington, News 3. We've met volunteers across Southern Illinois who are the heroes of their communities. Take Benton's Gene Alexander. In May, we caught up with the longtime educator. For him, retirement simply means more time to give back.
And then that will be the border between North and South Dakota.
Mr. A has voluntarily created more than 150 maps at schools across the region. He also contributes to local scholarship funds and the Benton Public Library.
Oh, I know I'm just having a terrific time, and I'm trying to do it as long as I can.
In June, a Jackson County woman known for her selfless deeds passed away after a battle with cancer. Margie Parker was a fixture in many Southern Illinois organizations, including the Good Samaritan Food Pantry in Carbondale and the Peace Coalition.
She calls us to say, how do we live into that which we say we believe about love and justice, hospitality, courage.
In July, we spotlighted Craig Hind of Carbondale. He offered years of hard work as a founding member of the stage company. And in 2008, Craig led teams of volunteers through renovations at the group's new home, the old Varsity Theater.
I remember calculating the average age of our work crew for that project. It was a little over 70 years of age.
So as a result now, Carbondale and Southern Illinois has another beautiful theatrical showplace for the benefit of of all of us and our families.
In August, we caught up with Ann Knetz. She's one of the founders of the Southern Illinois Women's Health Conference. The event has been going strong for 25 years thanks to Ann's vision.
You are in charge of your own health. It's not like your husband's job or your children's.
She really is one of those quiet, unsung heroes. She never does anything for the glory. She does it because it needs to be done, and who better to do it than she?
It's a similar mindset for Gail Clam. She's spent more than a quarter century supporting lots of local groups, including Carbondale Community Arts. September's Smithsonian exhibit at SIU, All About Work, wouldn't be possible without Gail's hard work.
She gets you motivated, she gets you involved, she kind of pumps you up and draws you in.
Bringing out the spirit of volunteerism in others.
You take from a community, and so you need to put your part in to make it a better place for everyone.
To all of our unsung heroes, thank you for the inspiration. With this look back at 2011, Emily Eddington, News 3.